Hey, Daddy, this is the man of the champions, Bill Fonzie Alfonso, giving a shout out to
Something Else.
Something Else, Daddy.
This is Nickel Matata, Great Warrior Wolf, and you are listening to Something Else.
I'm Tony Cini, and you're listening to Something Else.
Hey everybody, it's Rich Palladino, the voice of New England, and you are listening to Something Else with Arya.
Yep, the Chevy Silverado theme is back, which means this is episode number 235 of Something Else. Feast your hair holes on this week's episode as we take a look at Mid-South Wrestling and World Class Championship Wrestling from October the 6th, 1984. My name is Arya, and joining me, as always, is the Alisha Edwards to my Hardy Boys. It's Trae. Trae, how the hell you doing today?
Doing great. Right here with my right hand man, Astro Peach, right at my right hand. Now he's sniffing the mic. You want to say something? He just wanted to sniff the mic.
He's very shy.
Yes.
You like that even though I'm living in Massachusetts, I called you Alisha Edwards, and even though you're from the South, I called myself the Hardy Boys?
Yeah, I have no idea why.
Well, Bound for Glory taught me something, and that's that when you book really poor shit as finishes, the two best things you could do are to turn Alisha Edwards into a human pincushion and then send the Hardy Boys out.
Oh.
Because those two things combined helped keep the crowd from revolting on that show this past Sunday.
I would be worried about having Alisha Edwards bump onto thumbtacks because they're liable to go right through her.
I think they almost did. And I don't know his fucking name, the big guy in Order 4, which is funny. They call it the stable Order 4 and they have at least 5 people in it, but whatever. But yeah, he bumped Alisha into thumbtacks and, well, she was definitely feeling those thumbtacks.
Morbid curiosity, how did the Dudleys and Hardys match go?
I mean, if we're talking about from a pure technical standpoint, it sucked. It was easily the worst men's match on the show. And it's debatable whether it was better than the women's singles title match with Indy Hartwell and Kalani Jordan. And I would say it was better than the pre-show tag match with the Inspiration versus the Elegance brand. But it's like that's a pretty low bar. However, with that said, this match was not booked because they thought this was going to be a classic tag team match. And this match was exactly what the crowd wanted. You know, after they fucked the crowd over, and I'll get to this, after they fucked the crowd over with that Javon Evans match, like the smartest thing they did was the next match they booked the Hardy Boys because, the crowd lost their shit for the Hardys. And the Dudleys got a decent reaction, and Spike Dudley came out, and, he got a good reaction. But, yeah, it was the Hardys that blew the roof off of the Songus Center in Lowell. Jeff Hardy, for the love of Christ, Jeff Hardy, stop doing a fucking swanton off a ladder. This is the second straight Bound for Glory that he's done it and smashed the back of his head off of a ladder rung.
Oh, God. So is it safe to say that Royal Rumble 2000 remains the best Hardys-Dudleys 2v2 match?
They haven't really had a lot of 2v2 matches, have they?
They didn't. That one was great, though.
have to really go back and look. Like I remember, remember when they did that TNA series with the Wolves,
Yeah,
but
and
to
that one
lead
wasn't
in,
terrible. They had a 2v2
yeah,
match there, and it wasn't bad.
yeah. I remember that being pretty good. So I'd have to go back and look. But the finish of the match, and maybe if I went back and listened to the commentary, maybe I'd pick up on what they were trying to do. But the finish of the match was the Hardys are in the ring with Bully Ray and a table. And I forget what they were holding. I think they were holding chairs, the Hardys. And Bully Ray's just standing there between them and the table. And they eventually throw the chairs away, and Bully Ray lets them give him a spine buster through the table. At least that's how it looked. Maybe with the benefit of close-up camera angles, it looked like there was more to it than that. But it just looked like Bully Ray stood there and let them win the match.
Huh.
And it didn't help that nobody knew what the fucking rules were because they didn't actually say it. Because, like, if you remember, like, WWE never seemed to make up their mind with tables matches, whether it was first table or elimination tables. And
Yeah.
the announcer, Mackenzie Mitchell, didn't announce what the rules were. And so nobody around me, when I think it was Matt went through the table, the 3D in like the first 30 seconds, people were like, is that it? And it wasn't. And it was being an elimination match. And then some people near me thought it was a pinfall match.
Huh.
So
Well,
it really, yeah. Um, but yeah, that Javon Evans Leon Slater match. Now I admit I went into the match not having high hopes mostly because I don't have high hopes for any of these NXT people. Like especially particularly when it comes to having pro wrestling matches, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And they had a fucking out of this world match, but to paraphrase something you said to me earlier, LOL TNA then, LOL TNA now, LOL TNA forever. They booked 2 screw job finishes for the price of one. And it turns out, and I think a lot of people kind of figured this last night, but it came out today that WWE had significant say in the finish of that match. And from what I hear, the primary reason why they booked the finish of that match to be what it was because they want to book a rematch on NXT. In case any of you out there were thinking that, WWE gave 2 fucks about, how this relationship helps TNA out, there's all you need to know.
uh, you know, TNA was TNA from the very first TNA segment, and it will be TNA right up until the heat death of the universe.
And the fact is, I get that, hey, whether it's the NXT thing or maybe it was, well, I guess because they drew 8,000 people at Slammiversary too, but I know maybe in the Hardys Dudleys thing, they drew almost 8,000 people to this show. So, something is going right in the TNA verse. But I'll say this, they were putting on pretty fucking good pay-per-views before the NXT relationship.
Sure.
Like it was 2 years ago when they had fucking Will Ospreay and Mike Bailey.
Oh yeah.
And spoiler, that match had a finish. I think that was the same show with Chris Sabin versus Kenta. Also had a finish.
That sounds like a
Now,
Lulu.
yeah, it was. And my guess, and I was thinking this last night, was that Mike Santana had to win. Mind you, I
Yeah.
was still a little surprised they actually did pull the trigger and didn't just have Trick Williams win. But Mike Santana had to win. So it was probably we can't have all 3 NXT wrestlers lose, even though in all 3 matches they probably should have lost. So Kalani Jordan won in a bit of a surprise. And then they did that bullshit finish in the X title match.
I
Oh,
I'm
Lord.
never gonna understand your infatuation with TNA.
I enjoy it more often than I don't. But last night, and I don't care, last night the booking did enough to take away my enjoyment of the show. So we'll see what happens on their next pay-per-view come January if I, bother to watch it or leave it on the shelf until I get to 40 years of pay-per-view 2025 to 2026.
Yeah, yeah. Oh well. Oh well.
Oh well. Did you see about Ridge Holland?
No, no. What about Rich Holland?
Ridge Holland, who, well, I'll just say the big part. Ridge Holland was informed today that he was being fired. Not so much being fired. His contract was not going to be renewed when it came up in a couple of weeks. And the issue with that is he got injured wrestling for TNA a few weeks ago against Moose in a booking that he was booked for. And WWE has decided to let him go instead of paying him out until his injury was up. Now, I would never give anyone legal advice, but I will point out that WWE did this once with Tiger Ali Singh. They booked him in Puerto Rico. He got injured, and then they tried to fire him, and Tiger Ali Singh got paid.
Well, I hope Rich Holland gets paid.
Yes. Call Tiger Ali's lawyer.
Mind you, I don't know anything about Ridge Holland other than I think he was the one that Big E was wrestling when Big E got injured. And I
Yes.
saw him on NXT a few times and did not think he was very good. But on principle, I hope he gets paid.
I thought he had a good look, but yeah. So I'm going to say this knowing that I doubt that you care enough. Seth Rollins is apparently a babyface already.
Okay.
He got turned on Raw this morning by Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed.
That's one of my biggest pet peeves in wrestling. If you're a heel and you get turned on by heels, that does not make you a babyface.
Well, I guess we don't know for a fact that he's now babyface, but I mean, I'm not expecting very complex booking in WWE right now. So I'm just assuming that, especially since Heyman went with Braun and Bronson, that it's going to lead to whatchamacallit, Seth being a babyface, which I I like to think that more thought went into this, and it's not just our plans got out, so now we have to fool the sheets. But Dave just reported last week that that Saturday night's main event is supposed to be Rollins versus Punk, which, I mean, they can do a babyface match, but I don't think they'd be dumb enough to turn Punk heel.
Haven't those two been feuding for 600 fucking years?
Yes, they have. They've been feuding since Punk came back because Seth allegedly really doesn't like him. And then Punk got hurt, Seth got hurt, Punk got hurt, Seth got hurt, and I don't think they've ever had an actual one-on-one match. I mean, they had whatever you want to call the SummerSlam Money in the Bank cash-in, which is technically a match, but you know what I mean. And they had the WrestleMania 3-way with Roman.
I don't.
By the way, Darby Allin's kind of speaking of Punk. Darby Allin made a point to say he wasn't saying this about Punk, but apparently Darby said that the true cancers of AEW were the people who came in and didn't want to do jobs. And specifically said he was not talking about Punk. Now, I don't know about you, but if I recall, the people that always came out that were hesitant, to put it nicely, to do jobs were Miro and Andrade. And spoiler alert, one of them is back in AEW.
Yeah, that's been a whole weird thing.
Yeah. By the way, Darby said that on the Ariel Helwani show, in case you need credit for that one.
Appreciate that. Always cite your source.
Yes. I will never cite Sean Ross Sapp, though. Must always give hatred of Sean Ross Sapp.
What do you have against Sean Ross Sapp?
No. It's a joking hatred of Sean Ross Sapp.
Okay.
For the many people who have no idea, I was hanging out with my friends Alana and Tim once, and Tim talked about how his favorite wrestling reporter was Sean Ross Sapp, and I'm sitting in the room like, really? Like, how much of a wrestling reporter really am I? But still, and it became a running joke that Sean Ross Sapp is his favorite reporter, including me, and I get super offended by that.
I like Sean Ross Sapp.
I'm sure he's a very nice human being.
Seems like a
so
good
hey,
guy.
You want to talk about some Mid-South?
I guess we should.
Hey, October 6, 1984, 23 days before my birth.
Oh.
Yes. My mother is 34-ish, 33 weeks, 35 weeks, however many weeks pregnant with me right now.
All
Anywho, let's go to the intro with JR and Joel.
And welcome to what proves to be another tremendous hour of Mid-South wrestling action. I'm Jim Ross, and along with Joel Watts, we'll be describing the great action that's coming up in the next 60 minutes. You're going to see the North American champion Magnum TA in action. You're going to see a great tag team match. The Fantastics against Hercules Hernandez and Steve Dr. Death Williams. Terry Taylor defends the TV title against Exotic Adrian Street. And Joel, in another match, it has been ordered back by Mid-South.
Yes, it's been ordered back, and it's the Midnight Express against Master G and Brickhouse Brown. Not only ordered back because the fans wanted it, but because of the controversy that surrounds it, too.
Well, last week, speaking of controversy, we had plenty of it in that match that has been ordered back. Right now, let's join the closing moments of the match between Master G and Brickhouse Brown going against the Midnight Express. This happened last week.
Speaking of controversy, and hey, I was right. We did know what was going to be replayed this week. Yeah. So we have a couple, we actually have 3 big matches this week. The Fantastics versus Herc and Jerk, Terry Taylor versus Adrian Street, and the Midnight Express versus Master G and Brickhouse Brown.
Yeah, those are some matches.
Yes, and I'll be honest, and I mean, I might as well say it now, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we did have 3 competitive matches on this show. I thought this show went really quick this week.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good wrestling this week.
Yeah. So they did the replay of what happened last week, and we've been talking about announcers, and specifically that we enjoy Boyd being the ring announcer because him and JC have a thing together. Now, here's the thing. Mid-South has 4 television announcers. Do you think that if you're going to have 4 announcers, that these are the best 2 pairings?
The best 2 pairings.
Yes.
Boyd Pierce and Jim Cornette is the perfect pairing, yes.
Well, I meant Boyd Pierce and Bill Watts and JR and Joel. Because in both cases, you have somebody who dominates the conversation, and you have somebody who can basically, keep everything intact. Like, you don't always get that, especially with Boyd and Joel, the couple times we've seen that, because Joel barely knows what he's doing, and Boyd is very passive when it comes to commentary.
I think the lead announcer should be Ross, and the color commentator should be like whoever, because they kind of rotated out, and then Boyd should be the ring announcer. I think that's where everybody's best at.
Well, maybe Ernie Ladd should be the permanent commentator.
Absolutely, yes.
As long as he has to explain where he got those pants from. We'll get to that later. But we go to our first match, which is the Midnight Express versus Brickhouse Brown, who is not to be confused with Bruiser Bedlam and Master G. because once again, my habit of writing people's initials when I'm typing out these intros and promos came back to bite me in the ass when I couldn't figure out who BB was when Cornette was doing his intro. It was not Bruiser Bedlam. Just saying. All right, let's go to that intro.
This event, one fall on a 10-minute time limit. Hey. Ladies and gentlemen, I have one announcement to make before I present you with the Mid-South Tag Team Champions. Cowboy Bill Watts, you have 1 week left to deliver my check for $30,000 along with a public apology, or we're taking the Mid-South Tag Team Championship and we're getting out of Mid-South and taking the belts along with us. 1 week for the apology and the check. Now, this week, we've brought the match back. It's been ordered back. We made such fools out of them. We humiliated them so badly last week that this week we decided to finish the job and make an example out of Master G and Brickhouse Brown. And these are the two men who can do it. A whirlwind in action. The most dangerous combination in wrestling. Loverboy Dennis and beautiful Bobby, the Midnight Express.
All right. So for those who did not join us last week, Jim Cornette has issued an ultimatum to Bill Watts because Bill Watts and Mid-South have fined Jim Cornette $30,000, $10,000 for each member of the Midnight Express. And Cornette has given them an ultimatum saying that if they don't return that check by next week, they are leaving with the tag team titles and will never come back with the belts. Now, of course, it's an ultimatum because it means you got to give them the whole tomato or else.
You know what?
So-
I think he should. This is bullshit. That was blatant discrimination.
It certainly was. They did not break the rules. Did they break the whatchamacallit, what am I trying to say? The spirit of the rules? Probably. Yeah, I mean, definitely. They broke the spirit of the rules. However,
Did they break the fantastic heads? Yes.
yes. However, they followed the rules. They exploited the rules. They found a loophole. This would not hold up in a court of law.
And Mama Cornette can afford the finest attorneys.
I know. I mean, I don't even know if Stephen P. New is alive yet, but I bet even baby Stephen P. New could have tried this case.
Yeah, I bet.
So the match starts, and Joel says that, like Jim Cornette said, this match is a whirlwind of action. Dear Joel, Jim Cornette did not call the match a whirlwind of action. He called the Midnight Express a whirlwind of action. There's a big difference. Why would Jim put over the match? Anyway.
I don't know.
All right. So an armbar got locked on, and the crowd lost their shit. And I don't know about you, Trey, but I miss the good old days when, fans would get excited about simple wrestling moves like arm bars. And, oh, wait, it had nothing to do with that. All the baby faces came out to make this a lumberjack match. Which, another one of those times where they're being incredibly unfair to Cornette here, because did he have the chance to go raid the heel locker room to find 5 or 6 lumberjacks for their side?
Well, you see, you assume that they're going to be lumberjacks, but like Bobby and Dennis rolled to the floor and got counted up to 7 or 8, and everybody just stood there. So they just came out to watch.
They're really bad at their job if they're lumberjacks.
They are not they are not a Flapjack Norton quality lumberjack.
Now, in case you're somebody out there and you see the Fantastics and you're like, I know who the Fantastics are, but I don't know which one is Bobby and which one is Tommy. Well, they had a fix for you here, because Tommy Rogers had Tommy written in big stupid letters on the back of his shirt. And
Very, very helpful.
I wrote that this was at least a decade before Tommy Hilfiger was a thing, so Rogers is the trendsetter. But hey, Trey, where do mansplainers get their water?
From a well, actually.
Yes. Well, actually, Tommy Hilfiger was actually started in 1985, which shocked me. And to my equal surprise, that brand is still a thing to this day. Even though, for the life of me, I cannot tell you the last time I saw somebody wearing a Tommy Hilfiger shirt.
I bet. I wonder if Tommy Rogers sued and got a piece of that, because clearly Tommy Hilfiger stole Tommy Rogers' intellectual property.
There you go. Back in the match, G got the hot tag, and the Midnight Express knew what side of the bread was buttered as they bumped like madmen, and then G submitted Eaton.
With a Fuller leg lock, just to pop me.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm sure this will lead to a Mid-South Tag Team title match if the Midnight Express are still here.
Well, yeah, I guess we'll have to find out. These two teams would have like a really good match if they had time and not a bunch of nonsense.
If it was more than a 5-minute TV match, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. Well, from here we go to our next match, which is Buddy Landel versus Johnny Mantell. As we've mentioned these last few months, Mantell is positively passable when every match he has is in a 10-minute time limit draw. And then, just as I'm typing that, JR says mid-match, I don't know if they can keep up with this pace for 10 minutes.
So JR doesn't watch World Class.
Or JR is listening to this show via the Temporal Ham radio and knew what we were complaining about.
Yeah, this was good. Like, they were wrestling, and then they would kind of throw some fire at each other. It was a good little match.
It was a good little match, and then in 2025, JR is past his peak as a commentator. They bring him out in AEW for a match or two per pay-per-view, and it's great to see JR, especially when it's a match that JR is going to enjoy. Like, JR is not going to enjoy the Young Bucks versus Best Friends. That's just not his thing. But, you put him out for a match like with Josh Alexander and Kenny Omega, he's going to love that shit.
Yeah.
However, in 1984, JR proved that, hey, everyone fucks up occasionally, as he's screaming about how Johnny Mantell has reached into his tights to pull out a foreign object to win the match with. And Joel Watts, of all people, had to correct him and say that it was Buddy who did that, not Mantell.
It's funny. I didn't even catch that, even though I went back and watched it again because I wanted to get a good look at the gimmick, and it appeared to be a piece of paper again.
Wait, you can get a paper cut off those things.
Not like that, though. They're doing it all wrong.
All right, so then we move on to our TV title match, which is television champion Terry Taylor, who is a little bitch and a stooge, versus Exotic Adrian Street with Miss Linda. Terry, after defending the title twice in like 16 weeks, is now defending the belt for the second time in 3 weeks. Man, oh man, I hope this rigorous title defense schedule doesn't come back to bite him in the ass.
What an embarrassment of riches we have.
Yeah. Terry tried cheating by pulling Adrian's hair, but he got caught. Street used an armbar. I love this. He was using an armbar, like an arm wringer, very, like a move you've seen everybody in the world use. And it's like, and to make it even more, because Taylor couldn't block it or do anything, Adrian starts pinching his cheeks, So, it was fucking great. I loved it.
Adrian Street is awesome. Adrian Street kicking Terry Taylor's ass is extra awesome.
Then, okay, it's 1984, people. it's time to get into the 20th century here in 1984. Adrian Street, it looked like Terry was coming on to him, so Adrian took his shot and began kissing Terry Taylor in the middle of the ring. However, in addition to being a little bitch and a stooge, it turns out that Terry Taylor is also a Degens from upcountry, as total homophobes here. He turned his back to protest the making out, and Street rolled him up to win the match and the broken metal, because that fucking metal weighs about 25 pounds and keeps breaking off of the ribbon.
I thought you were going to say that in addition to being a little bitch and a stooge, he was also a prick tease.
That it will not be the name of our episode. Terry Taylor is a prick tease. Terry Taylor is a D-gen. If you get the reference, great. If you don't, well, sorry, not sorry.
I don't think we've done this yet. I hereby nominate Adrian Street and Miss Linda for the Something Else Hall of Something Else.
I second that. And what reason do we want to give to that?
Hold on. What's the words? Just imagine what they can do to us.
Inducted October 13th, 2025, for just imagine what they do to us. This is our first induction, by the way, since August 2nd to the Hall of Something
really?
Else.
Oh.
Yes.
When was the last time we inducted someone into the Hall of This Sucks?
September 8th, when we inducted Hans Schroeder for being the worst wrestler of all day this week. I can't tell you whether or not I was being facetious or if I was if I mistyped that and I meant to write worst wrestler of all time this week. But
either way.
Yeah. Do I need to go over the list of people in the Something Else Hall of Something Else?
Go through it. Go through it.
Okay. And we'll see if you remember why each of these people are inducted. Now, do you remember who our very first inductee was?
Was it Baron Gattoni?
It was, in fact, Baron Gattoni. I didn't give a reason, but, if you've ever seen Baron Gattoni, no reason necessary.
Exactly.
Next up was Bruno Sammartino's mom.
For being a bad bitch.
Keep in mind, Bruno Sammartino was not inducted, just his mom.
Bruno Sammartino also rules.
Yeah. Bill Rathke was inducted.
For taking a shower.
I'd be shocked if you didn't know that one. Ernie Ladd was inducted.
For being a bum seeker?
No, for saying, "What do you think I am, a bum seeker?"
Good enough.
This one's a little wordy, so I'll be interested to see if you get this one. Gino Hernandez.
Outstanding achievements in the field of being Gino Hernandez.
More or less, yes. Boyd Pierce.
Either for being a sartorial god or for looking at Jim Cornette like he's a space alien. Or doing both at the same time.
Excellent precision in facial expression.
There we go.
This one's this one I will fire if you can't figure this one out. Dirty White Boy and Mr. Ron Wright.
For that whole storyline?
Yes. The old man from World Class.
The teeth. His teeth fell out?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And those are the Something Else Hall of Something Else inductees. By the way, speaking of the Something Else Hall of This Sucks, do you think the real reason the Rock and Roll Express haven't been around in 90 days is because they got an STD at the Super Date at the Superdome?
I don't think it takes 90 days to, depends on what it is. Like, if it's something that can, If it's something that's not permanent, it's like a shot of penicillin.
I mean, we don't know. And what we also don't know is what Terry Taylor's thoughts were after losing the TV title. Actually, we do, because JR left his position to go interview Terry Taylor, who is a Degens, along with a little bitch and a stooge.
And a prick tease.
Never in my life have seen. I can't believe it. I lost it like that. After everything that's going on, to lose to something like that. Somebody, oh, no, I don't believe it. I tell you right now. Oh, I don't believe it. After Butch Reed, Dr. everything, to lose it like this to or something like that. Well, Adrian Street, I'm telling you right now, and everybody else, you may have that medal now, but it's mine, and I'm coming back to get it. Never have I seen anything like that, and ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back with superstar Bill Dundee.
You know, we made jokes about this, but it's 1984, Oklahoma, Louisiana. I believe that, yes, Jim Ross has never seen anything like a man kissing another man.
Yeah, I do believe that.
But I'm not sure. So then we get the world famous superstar of wrestling, Bill Dundee, versus Jason Walker. Now, Trey, did you watch or did you see the clip of the intro that John Cena wrote for AJ Styles at the pay-per-view last week?
I heard about it. I didn't see it.
Okay. I'm starting to think that if you give Boyd long enough, he's going to outdo that intro just introducing the booker.
Maybe so.
Let me see if I can. Apparently, John Cena really wrote this too. He handed it to WWE ring announcer Alisha Taylor. And what the hell? Why read it off when I could just play it? Let's go to this. This is courtesy of at Elite Club SOB on Twitter. Let's go to that now.
The definition of total non-stop action. The ace and undisputed boss of the Bullet Club. It is our honor as fans and my honor as an opponent to see if he can beat up John Cena one final time. He is the face that runs the place. The phenomenal Hey!
Okay. I think you can figure out what she said next. But yeah. So at what point do you think Boyd's superlatives for the Booker will get longer than that?
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
Dundee. Here's the report of the match. They went 2 minutes. Dundee worked the leg and then won with the sleeper.
I just wrote after the John Cena AJ part. I wrote Dundee won with a sleeper.
Yeah, that's
I'm
about
not lying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Now I know you didn't watch it. I didn't watch it either. But I don't know if you saw this, but apparently Cena and AJ had a tribute match. They did as many finishers as they could of friends and past rivals. Daniels even broke out the Angel's Wings at one point. And I think he did a Kazarian Fade to Black as well. When did this whole thing start? Like, there's always been like that occasional, oh, I'm doing a rival's finisher just to fuck with them thing. When did this let's pay tribute to 8 million people by doing all their finishers in a match that doesn't include them thing start? Like, I don't think this is the first time, but the first one I could think of is the Josh Alexander Eric Young match at Slammiversary a few years ago when they basically did all the finishers of the TNA legends.
The first one that I remember was the first Young Bucks and FTR match.
They did run through a few finishers.
They did every fucking tag team finisher in the last 30 years.
I haven't watched that since. Actually, no, I can't say since it aired. I watched it like a second time a few weeks later. But I've not seen that match in a few years.
I really loved it at the time. It was just kind of a love letter to tag team wrestling. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't like to reevaluate matches that I liked. I like to just keep it.
I remember that finish too because I thought it was a great finish that FTR, the team that doesn't do flippy shit, went for a Meltzer driver and fucked up and lost.
Cash has always been a flipper at heart.
Yes. Um, but by the way, a little while ago, I was looking at Ring of Honor results from the Jim Cornette days, and Dax was on Ring of Honor shows in the Mid-Atlantic. Just throwing that out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. So up next, we went to commercial, and JR said we'd look at Magnum TA after the commercial. And the way he said it, I'm like, is Magnum having a match? Like the way he said it made it sound like, oh, we're gonna see a Joel Watts music video. Because I'd actually forgotten that at the beginning of the show they said that he'd be wrestling. But
There was
nope, he's in.
something. I'm sorry. There was something at one point where they said, "Oh, it was on World Class," that like the bumper said that like next the Link bangs his head, and then it came back, and we never saw Max. It went straight to the main event.
Well, I'll be honest, I didn't see that because we'll get to it, but I skipped the part that had the up next Max bangs his head.
Yeah, fair enough.
But anyway, before this riveting match between Magnum TA and Steve Brinson, JR is joined by somebody about a foot taller than him at the commentary desk.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we prepare to see the North American Heavyweight Champion Magnum TA go against Steve Brinson, my guest commentator for this match, the Big Cat, Ernie Ladd.
Indeed, it's always great to be in the presence of Mid-South, and particularly to watch Magnum TA, who is the current North American champion. He has a point to prove, and I can assure you he'll be out to prove that point or try. Of course, Ernie Ladd hasn't been on television because he has been in pursuit of Magnum TA, and I plan to take that belt from Magnum TA.
Let's go to our ring announcer, Boyd Pierce.
It was a very understated intro there by Ernie Ladd.
He's tired. He's been seeking bombs a lot.
Yes, he has. What the hell was up with his pants?
These were like the highest rising grandpa pants ever.
High-waisted khaki pants, no buttons, no zippers, no pockets. And think about how tall Ernie Ladd is. Where did he get a pair of pants that are this high-waisted?
Probably a tailor.
Terry Taylor? I had to laugh because they said that when you wrestle Magnum TA, you better bring a lunch because you're going to wrestle a long, long time, which is the exact opposite of what Magnum TA ends up really being well known for.
And also, they went a minute 30 here.
Yes. TA, well, hey, he could have done like 10 Mid-Atlantic matches in that 90 seconds. TA won with the belly to belly.
He sure did.
And sadly, Ernie did not stick around for the rest of the match, or the rest of the show, excuse me.
Ernie was appalled that Magnum used the closed fist. Does that look like a champion to you?
Well, that's not a wrestling move, you know?
Yeah, it's closed fist. In pure rules, you only get one of those.
Yep. He should have been warned. I guess it doesn't matter because he won the match like immediately after, but still. All right.
If I ever had a territory, I would make it where closed fists are illegal.
By the way, I went to the Beyond Bound for the Floor show yesterday, and it was supposed to be all technical wrestling, an all technical wrestling tournament. And pretty much the only people who followed those rules were Drew Gulak and Timothy Thatcher, which was the opener. And it was a fucking great opener, don't get me wrong. But yeah, like every other match, A, couldn't follow Drew Gulak and Timothy Thatcher, and B, just had a series of no dives matches. Like,
Well, at least there was Drew Gulak and Timothy Thatcher.
yes, and it was one hell of a bout, if I do say so myself. So we get to our next match, our main event in some circles. Hercules and the Dr. Death helmet holder, Dr. Death Steve Williams, versus Los Fantasticos. Now, Tommy did not have Tommy stitched on his jacket or his tights, but thankfully I could use deductive reasoning and figured out which one was Tommy and which one was Bobby. This was an all right tag team match. Ain't nothing wrong with this match. The finish though was well, I get what they try to say when they say that you can't call something you don't see. But here's what happened. Carl Fergie is distracted by Bobby Fulton because babyfaces just love distracting the referee. Behind the referee's back, Dr. Death put on the Dr. Death helmet, and Hercules rammed. I'm sorry, Tommy Rogers is the one who distracted the referee. So maybe I don't know which one is which. But Hercules ran Bobby Fulton's head into Dr. Death's helmet, and when the referee turned around, Carl Fergie was stupid with 3 O's because he sees Dr. Death standing there in the ring wearing his helmet, and he doesn't question this. He just drops down and counts.
Well, I mean, he was just standing there where you're allowed to wear a helmet if you're not legal, I guess.
I would question that, but oh well. And Carl Fergie's like following them out of the ring, questioning them about this. And like, what was he expecting? Him to say, "Oh, you caught me. Reverse the decision, disqualify us now."
Well, that's what happens when you go on the honor system with all these heels.
Well, next week we're having breakfast for lunch next week.
Oh.
At least here on Mid-South, because here on Mid-South we're gonna have Chris Adams, Jake the Snake Roberts, and Killer Khan with General Skandor Akbar on the show.
Oh wow. It's
yes.
That'll be something.
Yes. Now I did not I maybe it's in the part that I skipped, but I did not see a card for next week's World Class. So it's possible that on World Class we're going to get Magnum TA, Ernie Ladd, and Hercules.
That'd be cool.
Yes, indeed. Although it'd be funny watching Ernie Ladd and Hercules have a 10-minute time limit draw.
Oh, God.
Oh, lordy, look who's 40. So from here we go to World Class Championship Wrestling, where I always write the date, and because I'm being especially special this week, I wrote World Class 10/13/2025.
Honest mistake.
This was not World Class from 10/13/2025. Anywho, let's go to the intro with Bill Mercer here. And press on mute.
From the world-famous Sportatorium in Dallas, Texas, I'm Bill Mercer. Great to have you with us. And we've got an equally great main event. There have been a lot of challenges and a lot of feuds building up among Gino Hernandez, Jake the Snake Roberts, Kevin Von Erich, and Chris Adams. So our main event has been changed to a tag team match featuring Kevin Von Erich and Chris Adams against Jake the Snake Roberts and Gino Hernandez. Well, that's 4 certainly different people, but you'll find it a tremendous main event along with all the other great internationally famous wrestlers on World Class Championship Wrestling. Coming up next will be El Grande Diablo versus George Weingroff, next on World Class Championship Wrestling.
All right, we're going to have 4 different wrestlers wrestling each other, which is somehow different than usual,
How about that?
Yeah. We're gonna have Kevin Von Erich and Chris Adams versus Jake the Snake Roberts and Gino Hernandez. What was Susan St. James' catchphrase when she did commentary at WrestleMania 2? George. I mean the other one. Uh-oh.
Okay, I was warned that there was a Susan St. James reference coming, and I didn't know what it would be, so I learned.
Was it worth the wait to hear me say uh-oh?
Absolutely.
I did think about finding the clip of Susan St. James saying uh-oh, but it's just not the same, you know?
Nah.
So yeah, we're gonna have 4 people in a tag team match in the main event, and I'll wait till we get there. But it's like, I'll be honest, it was just different enough to feel different. Like, even though I'm sure we've seen 3 of the 4 people wrestle each other 87 times, you know, Jake Roberts being in the match, it felt different. And it's also because I pretty much knew what was going to happen because we've been foreshadowing this for months now.
Yeah, I wondered if this was going to be what this was, and it wasn't quite, but it was kind of.
I didn't know how it happened. I was thinking it was a Horseman beatdown.
Yeah, me too.
Especially like early in the match, like I noted that Chris Adams wasn't getting in the ring for a while, but when he did, he was only getting in the ring with Jake Roberts. But then that changed, and it was just the regular shit. So let's see. Go to our first match, which is El Diablo Grande versus George Weingroff's blind penis. I'm starting to think George got lost while driving and is afraid to try driving back to Shreveport at this point, and he's just kind of stuck in Dallas.
I don't think George can drive.
There you go, being ableist again, Trey. Just because someone's blind doesn't mean they can't drive.
Actually, that does mean that. I know a lot of blind people, and I always have to drive.
You know 1 or 2. What if it's a work? What if they're working their blindness?
You think my wife's been working me for 16 years?
I don't know. I've never really talked to your wife. I do like this is like the one subject that like you're not a fan of joking around about.
It's because I know too many blind people, and I'm a part of the community. My friends say I am blind at heart.
You're an honorary blind person.
I am.
Mercer said with a name like El Diablo Grande, he wouldn't be from Waxahachie. Why the fuck not? Mind you, this was the 2020 census, but in the 2020 census, nearly 26% of residents in Waxahachie are Mexican or Hispanic.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely Spanish speakers in Waxahachie. So first, Mercer said it was El Grande Diablo, and then Drunk Mark Lawrence said it was El Diablo Grande, which is the correct Spanish. And then the Chiron just read El Diablo. By the way, it's actually he's from Venezuela, not Mexico. Guy wrestled under a bunch of names. Most recognizable probably being WWF job guy Omar Atlas in 89, 90.
I noted that he did a lot of WWF jobs as Omar Atlas.
Yeah.
But hey, he didn't do the job here. He won with the whoopee cushion.
I've always called it the bombs away, but yes, the whoopee cushion is also correct.
Yeah. The thing is, like, I don't know if it ever was this, but when I ever heard bombs away, I thought it was a top rope knee drop. I guess that makes more sense that the bombs away would be the move that, Matt Bourne made the whoopee cushion. But
the bombs away, that was Ray Stevens, right?
Correct. And mind you, I have not seen a whole bunch of Ray Stevens matches in my life.
I have seen just enough Ray Stevens to wish that there was a whole lot more Ray Stevens footage.
I imagine he was a very tremendous worker.
Yeah.
making me use phrases like very tremendous.
Indeed.
One second, I'm sending you a picture of the haunting visage that is currently on my VLC media player.
Oh, that has to be the image this week.
It's when we come back from commercial, we've promised to go to a series of exciting interviews, and so I pressed pause while they were wiping away from the world-class ring and arena to drunk Mark Lawrence in the back. It's like a ghostly silhouette of drunk Mark Lawrence over the ring.
It looks like an in memoriam.
When drunk Mark Lawrence dies, this is what's going to air.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of drunk Mark Lawrence, let's go to an exciting series of interviews. First, he's going to interview Gino Hernandez, Jake the Snake Roberts, and Nicola Andre. And then Nicola Andrea, pardon me. And then we're going to go to Bill Mercer, who is at the office of Chris Adams. Let's go to that now.
Well, I'm Mark Lawrence here in the locker room, getting ready for the excitement that's about to take place. But first, we're going to take time to talk to Jake the Snake, Gino, and Andre.
You know, it's not going to be long till I get my first taste of a Von Erich, something I've been waiting for a long time. And it won't be long before Gino and I show him just what a real tag team is. It's not one that's based on friendship or being brothers, because, you see, you don't even have to like Gino, man, because as long as he does his job, I'll do mine. Right?
Absolutely. You know, everybody talks about Jake the Snake's a little out of there. He's not all with it. And that our personalities and our lifestyles are in definite, drastic non-comparison. But I'd like to say this. We do have something in common, and that is that we hate Von Erichs, and that we win, and that we will win at no cost, regardless. So I'd like to say to the Von Erichs, you start sweating because you're so proud of that World Six-Man Championship, the new shiny belts. Well, I'd like to say that those belts would go right alongside my American heavyweight title, my Texas heavyweight title. They'd look just fine right alongside those. Anything can be said about the man, but one thing he's proven, he's a winner, an absolute winner. And him and myself, even though there is a difference in lifestyles, we will make the ultimate combination and the best tag team along with another partner, and we will challenge you, Von Erichs, no matter where it is. And sooner or later, you'll have to put your names on the dotted line, and we will get those six-man tag team belts. And as far as Stella Mae French sticking your nose anywhere, Nicola Roberts is just waiting for you to stick your nose where it doesn't belong.
Oh, this is going to be fun tonight, brother, I guarantee you.
Jake the Snake, Gino, and Andrea.
Head, brother.
Stay tuned for excitement coming up.
And we talked with Chris Adams on the other side of that tag team event. Chris, elegant office you have here.
Well, thank you, Bill. Recently moved into this office. This is my new office, and I'm very pleased. It looks like at last I'm on the way up.
I want to talk to you about your association with Gary Hart, but first let's talk about this match that you and Kevin have against Gino Hernandez and Roberts tonight. It has a great impact, it seems, on your career.
Right, it's a big match. I mean, I don't like Gino and I don't like Jake, and Kevin is my friend, and I'm really looking forward to the match. It's going to be a tough match.
Gary going to be in your corner?
Yes, Gary will be in my corner. He's always going to be in my corner now, and as you know, since he's been with me, I have had a long streak of wins. In fact, one of the longest streaks, I should say, in professional wrestling. So I don't want to go and ruin that.
What about Stella Mae? Everybody's interested in her presence.
Excuse me.
Sure.
Hello? Yeah, would you excuse me one moment? I'm just doing an interview. I'll be right back. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Stella Mae, will she be around?
Yes, she will be there. You know as well as I do, and everybody else, that she has a dislike for Gino Hernandez. So I'm sure she will be there. Of course, Gino Hernandez might have his bodyguard, so it's going to be one big, exciting match. I'm looking forward to it, Bill.
We were hoping to see, speaking of Gary, hoping to see Gary today, but he does an office in here with you.
No, his office is up the road a little bit, and he's probably busy right now making out some contracts and things.
You said your association has been very productive with him. You give him all the credit?
Well, you know, since I have been with Gary, like I said before, I have had a real super streak of success. Now, I give Gary a lot of the credit, but I do think that I deserve to be where I am right now.
All right, speaking of where you are right now, with all this string of victories, what about the future? What do you and Gary Hart have in mind for you?
The sky's the limit. You know, I don't want to say any one specific thing because I'm going to go for everything.
You have championships in mind? You
Championships,
have
world championship, tag match championships, the lot. You know, Gary is a very, very with it manager and advisor, and whatever he wheels and deals and gets for me, I'm going to go for it.
Is he satisfied with the way you've handled Devastation Incorporated?
Oh, sure, yeah. He's really satisfied with me. I think that's what makes it so good, you know. He's satisfied with me, I'm satisfied with him, and I really think that I deserve to be going up the ladder.
Well, interesting association. Gary Hart and Chris Adams. Good luck, Chris. And we'll be back with more excitement on World Class.
Chris Adams has been with Gary Hart for like 2 weeks. And so thanks to Gary Hart, he's now on one of the longest winning streaks in wrestling history.
What? Why does Chris Adams need an office? What do you think he does in the office?
I was thinking about, remember the Hart Foundation? They had a 22-story office building. And
I have no knowledge of this.
They talked about it on, well, RD inducted into WrestleCrap. It was on this Hart Foundation Best of Coliseum videotape from back in the 80s. And yeah, me and Gene took a tour of their 23-story office building.
Wow.
So, I mean, if 3 people require a 23-story office building, I assume Chris Adams has at least a 7 or 8.
And Gary Hart doesn't even have his office in the same building. He has his own. Gary Hart probably needs about a 13-story office building.
Oh,
maybe,
definitely. I mean,
well, maybe Gary Hart's office is in the Hart Foundation building.
oh shit, we never even considered that.
Yeah.
I mean, they never said what city the Hart Foundation's office building was in.
Yeah.
Although maybe, because I mean, that was 87, 88, and this is 84. It's possible the Hart Foundation leased the office building from Gary Hart.
That's entirely possible. Well, you know, Jimmy Hart probably had the original location in Memphis, and then it was during, you know, this decade that a lot of wrestling offices moved from Memphis to Dallas, so maybe it just got caught in there.
That's a tremendous theory.
You're the only person that I could say shit like that esoteric and dumb to.
Because you know what taught me.
That's all this podcast is. Just us popping each other with obscure references.
Literally, like, dear people of the internet, we see the viewership numbers. We know that nobody is fucking watching this. This is Trey and I talk to each other for a couple hours a week talking about wrestling.
Yes.
This is basically what our Facebook chat is, just in audio form.
Yeah.
Just Trey tells me fuck you a lot less frequently on the show. I think Trey thinks if he tells me fuck you too many times, I'll just mute his microphone, but I wouldn't bother to do that. So anyway, Jake has been wanting to taste the Von Erichs for a long time, which that's kind of nasty, don't you think?
Well, maybe they taste delicious. You ever think of that?
That is true, and I mean Jake does have I mean, I don't know when his drug problem started, but at some point he has drug issues. So it's possible that, getting a taste of Kerry really fucked him up.
Well, snakes have like that really they have a really developed like sense of smell, like they can smell the air with their tongues. So Jake Roberts probably has a hell of a sense of taste.
By the way, another example of biased ass world class championship wrestling. When Abeyance held the 6-man tag titles, what was represented of the 6-man tag titles? A trophy. Then when the Von Erichs win them, now we give them championship belts.
So
of course, it's been a month. It's been a month. We haven't actually seen the fucking belts, but that's not important, I guess.
So is Abeyance Vacant's father? Is Vacant a second generation superstar?
I think possibly, and then Abeyance came out of retirement in 2013.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Got to hold down the young guys again.
Yeah.
So Chris Adams, I laughed because it's like, hasn't it only been like 2 weeks that he's been with Gary Hart? Maybe 3 weeks. And he's talking about this long string of wins he's had, maybe the longest streak in pro wrestling, on a show with the Von Erichs, who never lose.
Maybe it was one of those 1999 Sid Vicious winning streaks. Maybe all of his losses count for like 2 wins.
Next week he'll have a 5-match winning streak.
Yeah.
Now, I never really watched UFC much. Like I've mentioned before, I watched Ronda's fights, I watched Brock's fights, I watched Punk's fights. That's it. And like once in a great while, somebody would convince me to buy a pay-per-view. Like I saw Matt Serra beat GSP that time. But anyway, when Mercer was asking Chris Adams what his goals were, what he wants to do next, he very much gave the answer that every UFC mid-carder would give Joe Rogan that made Brian Alvarez lose his shit. When they'd just be like, I'll fight whoever they put me in the cage with.
Yeah.
And then these people would wonder how Chael Sonnen would get title fights all the time. It's like, because the motherfucker went out and called people out, even though it's people he'd probably never beat.
I love Chael Sonnen. Like that was like my whole period as an MMA fan was like more or less bookended by the first Chael Sonnen Anderson Silva fight and the second Chael Sonnen Anderson Silva fight.
Oh yeah, and I watched. I guess I lied. I watched it a little bit more, but I told you the fights that I paid for.
Yeah.
I watched the 2 Chael Silva fights. I watched Silva Weidman. I watched the second Silva Weidman. I think that was a Ronda show, so that's probably why. But yeah, I still remember, Anderson Silva fucking around, and he found out. Weidman knocked him the fuck out.
I always wanted that to happen, and then I had lost interest when it happened.
Yep. And then Enzo Amore and Mason Ryan did the same exact thing on NXT 2 days before. That was my favorite article I ever wrote for the Observer. And UFC steals main event finish from NXT mid card.
Wow.
Oh Lord. So we then got to skip 11 minutes thanks to the Buck Zumhoff rule.
Tony Torres was pinned with a sunset flip.
A, why did you watch that match? And B, I guess it included intros and whatnot. But how the fuck did that go 11 minutes?
It did. They went 9:45. I didn't watch it, but like sometimes I'll just because I like to have like times for my archives. So like I turned the watch on and then I went and got up and like went to the bathroom and got a drink and came back and then played with Astro Peach until the match was ended.
I get it. It's all good. No shame in your game. But from there we go to a quite good main event. Gino Hernandez and Jake the Snake Roberts with Andrea the Lady Giant or Nicola Roberts, or Nicola Andrea, depending on who you're talking to, versus Chris Adams and Kevin Von Erich with Gary Hart in their corner. Stella French, of course, Stella Mae French got in the ring, tackled Nicola, and they had a cat fight. Now, in 1984, with an older lady, and I don't know how old Stella Mae French is. I think she's late 40s, early 50s at least. And Nicola Roberts, who, again, Nicola Roberts in 2025 is a lot sexier than 1985 Nicola Roberts is to the general public, because nowadays it's more accepted to be a large person, especially in that way. But like, again, Nicola was not here because everyone thought she was sexy. She was taller than Gino Hernandez. But anyway, do you think Joey Styles would have screeched, "Cat fight"?
100%. By the way, I noticed during the promo that we played earlier, Nicola with the leather and the sunglasses kind of looks like Masahiro Chono here. And I bet this is the only podcast where you'll hear someone compare Masahiro Chono and Baby Doll.
Almost undoubtedly. I was actually skimming through YouTube after I watched this show, but before we started this show. And Jim Cornette and Brian Last were talking about the origins of Baby Doll. And the question asker, I don't know who they referenced, but they asked Jim Cornette if it was true that Dusty Rhodes and I think Tully Blanchard went to Dallas looking for Sunshine, but because she was in rehab, they saw Baby Doll and booked her instead. And it was like, no. They knew who Nicola Roberts was. They would not have had to go looking for Sunshine and saw that.
And I adore Sunshine, but she wasn't the one for that role.
No. And Jim Cornette basically confirmed everything we said about how she got booked in Jim Crockett. She was booked because she was taller and bigger than Tully. And that was the heat. So the returning David Manning Von Erich, whose vacation did not last long enough, told Nicola no fighting, and she did not listen to him. And I wrote, I wish she would have yeeted him. But that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Now, due to this, everyone with XX chromosomes were sent to the back before the match began. Gary Hart was allowed to stay, which was fair. And I'll be honest, considering how unfair wrestling has been lately, I was fully expecting Gary Hart to be sent to the back, even though he didn't do anything. But nope, he was allowed to stay. One second, let me see if this works.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Here we go.
Oh.
The Susan St. James uh-oh rule.
We need a drop board with uh-oh and what do I look like, a bomb seeker and Bill Rathke going, we gotta get out of here, I'm trying to take a shower.
Did he actually talk? I don't even remember talking.
He did. No, he did. He said something to the effect of, y'all get out of here, I'm in the shower.
We could also put in the I hope something horrible happened to him. And it ain't that fucking hard, guys. We ain't building a rocket. We're getting guys over in a fake fucking business. I could be playing that on the TNA show on Wednesdays a lot. If you want a shit show, listen to tomorrow's TNA show. That was a shit show.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Kevin missed a diving crossbody. He came up short like he was Brock Lesnar doing a shooting star press at WrestleMania. And they sold like he hit it anyway. Chris Adams distracted the referee, which let them throw Kevin over the top rope to the floor. Not that it mattered because Adams was immediately tagged in. Stella Mae then ignored the rules and ignored her being sent away and came to ringside. And that's fair. Stella Mae French, she doesn't actually work for the promotion. It's been, and maybe something has happened on the Fort Worth show, but it's like she's just some random person. She's Sunshine's aunt, who has randomly shown up and follows World Class around. And she used to be looking for Sunshine, and then she was looking to beat up Jimmy Garvin, and then she's now looking to beat up Gino Hernandez for reasons. Speaking of which, where the hell is Jimmy Garvin?
I was just about to say, he must have, did he leave the territory? We have not seen him in a while.
That's my best guess.
I'm gonna look up Cage Match and see what Jimmy Garvin was doing in this time.
Well, while you do that, I'm going to explain the rather complex finish that the camera missed 98% of it. So, we all know the Rick Rude Ultimate Warrior WrestleMania 5 finish. We have mentioned it several times because it has happened several times between this show and the Smoky Mountain show. It's where the babyface tries to suplex the heel back into the ring, and the manager trips the babyface's legs, and the heel lands on top and gets the pin. Well, they did it in reverse here, and because they did it wrong, it came back to bite them in the ass. Gino went for a suplex to Chris Adams. Stella May tripped the legs. However, Gino, being a superior athlete and wrestler, kept rolling and ended up on top of Chris Adams to break Chris Adams' winning streak at 2. The longest winning streak in professional wrestling is now over, thanks to Stella May's inadvertent interference. Chris Adams was pissed, and so he shoved an old lady, and it led to Gary Hart pushing Stella, Kevin pushing Gary, and Chris super kicking Kevin. And Gino and Jake, this part I love. Gino and Jake didn't get back in the ring and he immediately started attacking Kevin and Eric. Gino and Jake got in the ring and looked from side to side, like, are you okay with us doing something here? And Chris just left with Gary Hart. And so the heels kept beating him down. And finally, referee Rick Hazard made the save along with a convicted sex offender. Jake, by the way, hit a neck breaker on Kevin. The rest of us refer to that move as a DDT. And with friends like these, no wonder Chris Adams turned heel.
Yeah. So we've been watching this show every week for quite a while now. Were we ever told that Jimmy Garvin and Precious lost the Loser Leaves Town match to Chris Adams and Stella May?
Of course not.
Of course not. So yeah, that happened at the end of July, and then Garvin went on an All Japan tour. It was like he did a date in St. Louis, a date in Florida, and he is about to start in the AWA.
The end of July.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ. See, I thought he was still there until Labor Day, because I thought they did the 2 Loser Leaves Town matches on the same show with or maybe I didn't know it was a Loser Leaves Town match, but I thought that the Chris Adams feud finally ended on Labor Day along with the Von Erichs Freebirds rivalry.
No, he was he was in Japan on Labor Day.
Interesting. All right. So I guess Jimmy Garvin's off to team with Steve Regal. No, not that Steve Regal. Sadly. Mr. Electricity.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mr. Electricity, by the way, let's just say this. Chris Adams has turned heel. Our enjoyment of World Class is almost assuredly about to go up.
Yes. I think that's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah. Adams is like, he's been here for a while too. Like, when did he come in? Was he already here when you joined the team?
Yeah, I think he had just come in and he was still just like kind of underneath babyface.
He was getting that weird push for a while where he would beat Buddy Roberts and then he would either lose to Johnny Mantel or go to a 10-minute time limit draw with Johnny Mantel.
On the first episode of World Class that I covered with you, Chris Adams defeated the Mongol.
The Mongol. You know, listening to the Mongol cut a promo, I can guarantee is almost better than what we're gonna end the show with. Let's go to an interview with, of all people, David Manning Von Erich.
David Manning, what happened? What was said in the ring that caused all the problems with Kevin, Gary, and Chris?
Well, Gary got belligerent with Stella May. Kevin stepped in. Chris stopped Kevin, and Gary went to hit Stella May. When he did, Kevin hit Gary Hart, and next thing I know, Chris gave Kevin the super kick. From there, Jake Roberts and Gino jumped on Kevin. I turned and looked at Chris. I said, we got to stop this. Chris said he deserves what he's getting, looked at Gary Hart and said, let's go to the back, Gary, and they left him. I couldn't believe it.
Unbelievable circumstances. We'll see you next week on World Class Championship Wrestling.
Unbelievable circumstances led to a David Manning promo.
Those are hard to believe circumstances.
There's a reason we do not get many David Manning promos on this show. Not the least of which is because he's a referee, but still, you know. And I don't know. It's like I'm happy they did something and not just the general, thank you for watching, we'll talk to you again next week, that we normally get. But I'm also not sure who they would have had do a promo instead. Because you couldn't do the Chris Adams promo here. There was only 30 seconds. You couldn't really do a Kevin promo because he just got his ass kicked. Maybe a quick word with Jake and Gino, but even that, it's like, So it's like I'm torn. I'm really torn. I want to totally say this was a complete waste of time, but at the same time, I'm happy they did something.
Yeah.
So I'll go as far as saying this was a good episode of World Class Championship Wrestling this week.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
No. Hey, we're using the TNA weekly pay-per-view scale. We've had several not bad shows in a row.
How about that?
How about it? Jeff Jarrett, spoiler alert, is a very long-winded individual. I've been lately, a lot of his stuff has been coming up on my YouTube tab, and it's a lot of TNA thoughts. And I'll try listening to him, but it's like, Jesus Christ, he is very long-winded sometimes. It's like, and I know who are we to mention other people being long-winded, I know, but it's like, damn, man, like, get to the point.
Yeah.
And did you see I'm sure it was Kurt Angle did an interview about how Brock Lesnar reached out to him in like 2006, 2007 to try to get him into TNA.
What, Brock Lesnar reached out to Kurt Angle to get Brock Lesnar into TNA?
Yes.
I
guess he figured if he could get a Kurt Angle like contract, because like especially at the time they hadn't yet started running house shows, so they were doing a couple TVs a month at a pay-per-view, and for $500,000, like I'm sure Brock definitely thought about it. It would have at least been better than flying to Japan all the time. But
he wasn't flying. He flying to Japan like fucking once a month for a few months, and he was getting $30,000 a shot.
Okay, yeah, all the time being a stretch of the phrasing here, but you know what I mean. Like he wanted to be in wrestling enough that he was willing to consider, and in fact, he did wrestle for New Japan 5 or 6 times, and so it's like I can kind of believe it that he would have been up for it, because like when he was talking to WWE going back to 2005, the main balking point was he didn't want to do house shows, and so I could totally buy that. If TNA would have been able to put together a deal with him where he'd come in twice a month and get good money, he would have been there. But according to Jarrett, they couldn't afford what it would take to bring in Brock. And I mean, especially 2006, 2007 Brock, I don't know if it would have been a whole lot more than Kurt to bring him in, or Sting at the time. And I do question if Spike would have put in some money for it. And in fact, I'm almost positive they would have, because it's, Spike paid for a lot of those contracts.
Would it have made any difference?
It wouldn't have, not at all. Like I like, Brock post UFC, sure. I guarantee, for whatever difference it would have, maybe it would have been like, when Jeff Hardy would main event a TNA pay-per-view, it would go from 8,000 buys to 12,000 buys, which would not have been enough to like justify a Brock Lesnar contract, but I think it would have made a little bit of a difference. TNA wise, again, they weren't going to do 200,000 buys, but
Oh well, what might have been.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about? You want to talk about Frankie Kazarian and Nick Nemeth winning the Call Your Shot gauntlet?
No, not really.
You broke up there. I heard you say and then you broke up.
I said no, not really. Tell me about, okay. I don't know. Say your piece about whatever the fuck.
So I was legitimately thinking that this was going to be a bomb scare, because I didn't see like how many tickets they had sold ahead of time or anything, because the Hall of Fame started at 6, then the main card was at 7, and at like 6:45, 6:50, I would say most of the arena was still empty. But then by 7 o'clock, literally the entire arena filled up, or at least the entire lower bowl on the floor. And I realized afterwards it was because they did meet and greets with the Hardys before and after the show. And so that's where a shit ton of people were. And I'll say this, from walking by the line to meet the Hardys on the way out, if TNA did not make money last night, they will never make money. Like, it was that, there were that many fucking people in line to meet the Hardys, and the photo ops with the Hardys were $100 a pop. Plus, I know how much I paid for my cheapest ticket in the building, and even if all 8,000 people all bought tickets at the same exact price, that's still well into 6 figures. Well, maybe not well into 6 figures, but that's into 6 figures. So it's, if they didn't make money, they're never going to make money. And no TV deal with the CW or whoever else it might be is going to change that.
Well, if anybody can figure out how not to make money off of it, it will be TNA.
Indeed. Indeed. Yeah, this has been a very TNA heavy episode.
It sure has.
Let me see if anything has happened. Did I mention that Seth may be injured? I said this before.
Yeah.
But apparently he was walking around with his arm in a sling yesterday.
Well, that's no good.
Yes. Nope. Let me see here. Yeah.
Wasn't he injured or not injured, and there was a bunch of bullshit back and forth about it, like recently, or was that somebody else? Okay.
Yes. No. It was him. They fucked up. Well, they didn't fuck up, but they, booked a Saturday Night's Main Event match to fall apart so Seth could work the internet into thinking he had a knee injury, and that's how he ended up cashing in at SummerSlam. And so, hey, what do they tell you? Don't lie, and karma and all that shit. Dave really enjoyed the main event of King of Pro Wrestling today.
Based on what I know of who was in it, I would imagine that most people enjoyed the main event of King of Pro Wrestling today.
Who do you think was in the main event?
Takeshita and Zach, wasn't it?
Okay, so you at least know what the match was.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Apparently, they're coming to Trenton, New Jersey on February 27th for New Beginning USA.
Oh, well, how about that?
Yes. How about it? Let's see. Just skimming through here. AEW has their 3-hour Dynamite / Hour of Collision this week on Wednesday. It looks certainly passable. We'll say that.
Yeah, sure.
Nothing wrong, but like looking at it, like if you were trying to catch up on shows and you weren't being a one of the sickos, this looks like one of those shows that you probably could skip.
I can't help myself.
I know. Hey, no shame in your game. You do you. But anywho, that's we might as well wrap things up. We've gone an hour and a half. That might be our sweet spot. We'll see what the viewership does for this show. But
you don't think we'll
right.
beat you don't think we'll beat last Thursday? That was like inexplicably way up.
Seriously, where the fuck did all you people come from, and why aren't you listening to this show right now? And I can rip on you because I know you're not listening.
If you're listening, we love you. Please stay.
Yes. Well, hey, this week or this show, we haven't said anything that'll get us sued. So maybe that's the key. Maybe we need to say something that'll get us sued every week. But all right, so that's going to do it for this week's show. Thank you all for listening. Hope you all enjoyed the show, and we'll talk to you again in 7 days.
Bye.